Thanks so much for joining us here on Atlanta News First Plus. I'm Joy Lim Nackert. I just want to share with you some of the top stories that we're following right now. And really top of mind at the moment is the cleanup in Rockdale County, where a tornado actually touched down. You can see uprooted trees, caved in roofs, damage pretty much everywhere. Really violent wind gusts, waking families as they were fast asleep. And this tornado touched down, tearing through Conyers as well as Rockdale. Roads are closed in many parts of these communities. Power is out to thousands. Atlanta News First reporter Rebecca Schramm is in the Briarwood Circle area just outside Conyers.
Emergency workers, neighbors just west of Conyers, stunned to see so much tornado damage. Jason Montgomery tells me he was sound asleep at about midnight.
And my son come bursting in the room to wake me up screaming, tornado, tornado, tornado.
Anthony Covington got an alert from his cell phone provider.
I was asleep and it just started buzzing. And as soon as it buzzed, it gave us 10 seconds and then the house just jumped up. And you can tell that something was hitting it because it was rocking. I was surprised that it didn't fall over.
Larry Nay Franklin says she felt like she was in a horror movie as she called out for her husband.
I found that he was trying to push the front door closed and the wind was pushing the door back open. The wind was just that strong.
When the wind finally died down,
And I went to go open the garage and it was dark out, but there was just a dim light in the sky and you could just see that the landscape and all the trees were gone.
It literally blew all of the trees in the yard from the root, the older trees, the real humongous trees, completely out of the ground.
just about every home on Briarwood Circle and Briarwood Drive has damage, some worse than others. Everyone here thankful they survived.
It was nothing but God that had us, in spite of all the things that were going on around us, the wind blowing, the house shaking, he still kept us. And I said, God, I thank you so much because it could have been worse.
Absolutely could have been worse. Rebecca Schramm telling the story of the residents there. And look at just some of this footage that we were able to capture. Our first alert chopper capturing overhead of the widespread destruction in Rockdale County following that overnight tornado. You can see trees and limbs scattered around. And Don Shipman has a closer look.
One man said it sounded like a freight train. The damage is widespread. You have to take a look because normally what you would see here is a lot of tall trees. Not anymore. If the tornado didn't uproot them, it easily snapped them off. So many stories of survival here. Everyone I talked with said they're lucky to be alive.
Yeah, I got into the middle of the hallway. I just held on.
Jolted from their sleep in the middle of the night by what sounded like a freight train shaking their West Adrian Circle home. A massive tree now lays across Mike Gillian's and his family's driveway, just steps away from their front door. The family's trampoline on its side, wedged between more downed trees.
And as far as damage, the house is okay, or?
It's damaged. Structurally, it's damaged. From the backside, everything is. Trees are damaged all over around the house, cars, vehicles down there that can't even get out yet.
This right here is what we're noticing a lot of trees that are down right across the way. This is a typical street. Tree down, we have to walk around here to get into this neighborhood, and we've been noticing a lot of people who live in this neighborhood having to do the exact same thing. As tree removal crews and the power company work to clear away the debris and make repairs, just down the street and around the corner, the damage is even more widespread.
We're about to find out what the damage is.
Using 2 canes to walk, Rick Hirth attempted to get a closer look at his rental property and to see if his tenant was okay.
Thankfully, one of Snapper Shoals people went down there to check it out. Didn't think I could climb over that, so that's what we're waiting for.
While others were not so lucky, you can see trees laying across homes, splitting roofs wide open, and even crushing this truck. Hirth's property is okay, and his tenant managed to survive the storm unharmed.
Some people were blessed and others not so much.
And now the Red Cross is here talking with storm victims, assessing what they'll need in the days ahead. In Conyers, Don Shipman, Atlanta News First.
And thanks so much to
Car
Don for that
shaking.
report. Take a look at this video from a viewer and listen. He describes being in the path of that storm in a McDonald's parking lot in Conyers. And he'll go on to say there is a
I got my
tornado
brake
about half
pedal
a mile
to the
away.
floor. I am okay so far. Got more strong winds. Car is rocking. I'm sitting at McDonald's on the West Ave Conyers exit. Tornado on the ground. It is crossing the interstate probably about half a mile to the west of me, and power is out. Power is out. Lovely. Power flashes.
And thanks so much to the viewer for sending in that video. Of course, we encourage you, if you want to share your
Car
viewer
shaking.
videos, that's fantastic. But don't put yourself in harm's way just to gather them. We will share them on Atlanta News First and Atlanta News First Plus if it does help us tell the story of severe weather. But also, just to be prepared, really encourage you to download our free app so you can get alerts sent right to your phone and be ready whenever storms hit. Okay, let's turn to some other news that we're following right now. And there is a death investigation underway right now in Buford. So a man was found dead inside the home in Gwinnett County. Several people were inside. This all unfolded on Ivy Birch Way in Buford. And Atlanta News First reporter Asia Wilson has more as investigators try to determine what led up to this death.
Sort of argument that turned into a physical fight inside of a home here, and now a man is dead. Police say around 1:45 Wednesday morning they got a call from someone saying they heard loud noises at a home on Ivy Birch Way in Buford. That caller said someone was grunting for help. When officers went to that house, they noticed this.
One of the occupants stepped out of the residence. He looked like he had been in a physical altercation. Officers then detained the occupants inside the house and checked the rest of the house and located a deceased adult male inside the residence.
Officials say at least 3 men were there at the time.
There was some kind of physical altercation between one or more of the parties involved inside the residence. Responding officers did not notice any gunshot wounds. Detectives believe they have who was likely involved in the incident.
Atlanta News First spoke with the woman who called 911 in the neighborhood. While she was too shaken up to speak on camera, she claimed she not only heard a man yelling for help through an open window inside this house, but also says she saw another man stomping on the ground repeatedly from that same room. All of this now leaving neighbors to wonder what really happened. Now we're told detectives are interviewing the person they believe to be the suspect and currently aren't looking for any additional suspects. We're still waiting on that victim's name to be released. In Gwinnett County, Asia Wilson, Atlanta News First.
And thank you so much for that report, Asia Wilson. Okay, I want to talk for a moment about the YSL trial because we do know, we've been telling you we were covering it gavel to gavel here on Atlanta News First Plus, but it's been in recess this week. It's spring break, and the court has really used this opportunity. Just want to check a little audio board over here. Just the court has been using this opportunity to hear a number of motions, that basically had been up for consideration, and a lot of those have to do with how long that this trial is actually taking. Well, it appears that not just the defense attorneys, but even the judge may be a little bit frustrated with how long this trial has been going, so much so that the judge is now warning that court could be held on weekends as well. There have been some motions by the defense to limit the number of witnesses that the state can call because they still have more than 100 witnesses to call, at least 100. But potentially, the witness list could, at one point, was estimated to have been 400. And again, defense trying to whittle that down. And again, the point, at least from the judge's perspective, is concerns about the length of this trial and speeding things up. Let's listen to what Judge Ural Glanville had to say about this.
I have spoken with our sheriff, and consistent with court, if necessary need be, we'll start having court on Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, well, that's my call. So if you don't want your Saturday and Sunday sucked up, I think we need to work a little harder.
Okay, so the judge acknowledged the trial could take many, many more weeks, and he shared his plan of attorneys arriving earlier, several times a week, weekend hearings. Those things are all possible if the witness list is not whittled down. We're going to keep following the latest there. Okay, let's talk about a grant now that MARTA is getting, and it's really encouraging for a lot of people who rely on MARTA. Particularly Southwest Atlanta neighborhoods that are celebrating some of this much needed attention. So this is a $750,000 grant that is going to bring faster bus options, more stations to the busy Campbellton Road corridor. Atlanta News First reporter Bridget Spencer has more from the Oakland City station. And MARTA riders seem to be thrilled about this.
Jeffrey Dean rides the MARTA bus on a daily basis. In fact, it's something he relies on.
MARTA transportation is very important in my life because it serves a vital part of me on my job to get on time.
But he says sometimes the bus may be running a few minutes behind.
I had delays on matter of fact, this morning.
MARTA is now working with the federal government to address this. MARTA was awarded $750,000 to start rolling out a transit-oriented development plan, or TOD for short. Included is the addition of bus rapid transit on the Campbellton corridor, meaning a dedicated bus-only lane that has traffic signal priority and it can bypass traffic easier.
That's unique. I ain't think MARTA was going to think of something like that.
I think that would be great because I noticed that you find oftentimes you'll be sitting in traffic for a long time. Sometimes you'll have bus drivers that will be more hasty.
The rapid transit line will stretch 6 miles from Oakland City Station to Barge Road Park and Ride. The plan also includes redevelopment in the neighborhood. MARTA says that would include affordable housing.
They'd be affordable housing. That would be great because I can afford to be closer.
The government-backed grant would also look at ways to address food insecurity, homelessness, and access to transit.
Usually I'll find people who are in affordable housing tend to need public transportation. So it being right there and right in reach, that's going to be great.
The goal is to revitalize this part of Southwest Atlanta while also making life easier for people who live here.
The Southwest, especially the west side of Atlanta, has been neglected.
In Southwest Atlanta, Bridget Spencer, Atlanta News First.
Download our free Atlanta News First mobile news app to get updates on your latest news and weather forecasts sent right to your phone. Thanks so much for joining us.